Today I'm going to show you 10 things that I think should be added into Sons of the Forest. First on the list is a portable 3D printer. I know this may seem a little overpowered, but I think as you progress through the game, the more powerful you should get. Hence the ability to set up a 3D printer in your base. One of the most annoying things for me recently is when I run out of arrows. I know that you can make more arrows with sticks and rocks, but those arrows do a lot less damage. So ideally, I like to use the 3D printed arrows, because I know they do decent damage and I could print more. But going out of my way to print them has been getting pretty annoying. I'm not sure at what threshold you should be able to get a portable printer. I was thinking about placing it somewhere in the endgame bunker, just before the Hell Cave, because that means that you've practically made it to the end of the game. As for the setup, it should use a solar panel and wiring system, similar to how you set up the light bulbs. With this system in place, you'll also be able to limit how much the player prints, because if the printer uses a percentage of the power alongside the resin to make parts, it will limit the player due to the power bar draining with each printed item. This is similar to the drivable golf cart, which also has a power bar, and once that runs out, you'll have to wait for the solar panel to convert more sunlight into energy before you can use it again. The next item on the list is one that's already in the game, but it's not usable for players at the moment, and that's the headlamp. I think that we should have had access to this since day one, since it's been in the game. You'll see some cannibals wearing it during night attacks on your base. Honestly, I like that the cannibals use these at night. I think it's a perfect way for the players to acquire it. Just make it that you can take it off the cannibal after you kill them. As for how it works, it should be similar to the flashlight in terms of the battery replacing itself if you run low. As for the brightness, it should be worse than the flashlight but better than the lighter. And the battery should last longer than the flashlight due to its weaker brightness. I think if they do it like this, they'll allow the headlamp to coexist alongside the flashlight, rather than it just taking its spot. Number 3 is a fishing pole alongside different fish. Although I'll admit this isn't the most important thing on the list, it should be added at some point. We just saw hunting trophies added in the form of animal heads in Update 7. There should be a variety of fish in the game that you can catch, with each one giving you more or less hunger, depending on the size of the fish. There should also be a way for you to display the fish in your house, similar to the animal heads. I believe there was a system in one of the Far Cry games that I played that the map would be labeled with where you could find certain animals. This game should implement that with a similar system, where certain ponds have certain fish. As for how to fish with the new fishing pole, they can add some type of minigame. There are tons of minigames that they can add, but one that I actually really like is from UFC Undisputed 3. This minigame has you chase the other person in a circle, in an attempt to overlap the two lines for long enough to fill up the bar. I like this because it reminds me of reeling in a fish. Like I said before, this isn't something that I'm itching to get, but it adds more depth to hunting, if that's your kind of thing. Number 4 is new weapons. 2 of these weapons are more of I don't want to call them joke weapons, but they're more unique weapons than practical weapons. And those weapons are a night sword and a musket. And before people come after me, let's think about this real quick. If a bunch of billionaires went onto an island to live, you don't think they would bring some odd but cool items onto the island? Because I think that's where these 2 items come in. If you've collected the katana before, you saw that it's set up as more of a display item rather than a weapon. And I think that these 2 should be found in a similar way. The musket can be in a glass case in one of the living dorms. As for the night sword, that could be hanging on a wall, or you can have it impaling someone similar to how you find the combat axe. Now the last weapon is more practical, and that is a double barrel sawed-off shotgun that can be held in one hand. There's already 2 pistols in the game, so why not add another shotgun to obliterate enemies point blank? The upside of this gun is that you'll be able to shoot both shots back to back, instead of waiting to pump the gun in between shots, and the reload time will be faster. The only downside is you'll have to be fairly close to do good damage, which is expected. My next addition to the game was heavily inspired by Minecraft, and that is a giant cannibal that guards camps. I know what you're probably thinking, we already have one of those guys. Which is true, but I was thinking about a cannibal that is located only at bigger camps just to protect it. Will never be a part of any of the raids on your base. As far as how they look, I would want them to be tall like the golden mask guy, but have more muscle. Sort of like a cannibal Bane. As for the health, I would make them twice as strong as the golden mask guys. I want these guys to make you think twice before raiding these camps. Because at the moment, there is not a cannibal that is too difficult to deal with. They're all pretty easy. So I want this guy to be a force to be reckoned with. Next on the list is a farming system. I know that this is technically already in the game, with the fact that you can grow blueberries and survive off of that, but in terms of better food, there isn't much more that you can grow. I would like to see a system that allows you to grow something like, I don't know, potatoes? Something that's easy to grow. And where you can find the first potato, just place it in the food bunker area, so that the player can either pick it up and eat it then, or they could plant it if they want to plan ahead. This would be a great addition for people who like more of a realistic playstyle. It allows them to survive off the land, rather than relying on a crunchy Wunchies box. This also opens a whole new door when it comes to cooking recipes that you can make in the pot. All around, I think adding some type of a traditional farming system helps this game massively for people who prefer more of a realistic approach. Number 7 on the list is the trophy system for killing mutants. After fighting the giant spider boss, it doesn't really give you a good reward. You get like 5 mutant armor, which is nice, but having a souvenir for killing that thing would be dope. Having its head displayed outside your base for anyone who dares to attack just seems cool to have. It's something that you can look back on and say that you've been there and done that. Similar to how people retrieve the dragon egg in Minecraft. It's a symbol of accomplishment, and I would like to have those symbols in this game too. Number 8 is a repeat off my last list, but I do want to see this in the game, and that is hostile animals, such as bears, wolves, or even honey badgers. Something that will attack you in the wild if you get too close to them or threaten them. This might make choosing a spot to call home a bit more difficult, because depending on the area, you could find yourself being eyed up as dinner by more than just the cannibals. The one thing about adding hostile animals that I'm unsure about is how they'll interact with Kelvin and Virginia, because it would be super annoying if Kelvin started getting downed as he followed you through the forest. But if they're able to find a reasonable way to add this, it would make for such a great experience. Also, I just wanted to mention that this would work like the fish system, where the map is labeled with the location of where the animals roam, so you don't just randomly get blindsided. Moving on to number 9 is something that I didn't think I would ever really complain about. Here we are, and that is sound effects. I hate it when I throw a big rock in the water and it makes no sound or splash. I know that that seems like a small problem. That's because it is. But sometimes in games, it's the small details that make them enjoyable. For example, I was driving up a mountain with the golf cart a few days ago, and it was so steep that the cart ended up doing a backflip and bouncing down the whole mountain. It was just such a silent fall that it just felt weird. If I heard metal crunching and screws going loose, it would have turned an unfortunate event into something that was just funny because I smacked into the mountain so many times on the way down. The small details in games is what separates them from the pack. Some people say they're okay with a game that has all the big mechanics working well. I don't know if you've ever heard of a game called Undisputed, but people said the same thing. And when early access came around, the game was dead in the water within a month. So I'm not saying this is a major problem, but it should be something that's addressed soon. Last on the list is going to piggyback off of number 9. That is a quality of life update. Things like making leaf armor require you to spam click to get enough leaves into the crafting area to create the armor. So updating it so players can grab the pile if they need would make it so much easier. It would make such a difference. I know for a fact that I would use leaf armor a lot more in the early game if this was implemented. But right now, it's just way too inconvenient. So just looking over their game and seeing where there's areas that they can tighten up would make a massive difference. Ultimately, Sons of the Forest is in a great spot at the moment. Update 7 has just added a ton of new things that made the game feel fresh again. So with some tweaking, this game could be a top tier survival game upon full release. So I'm looking forward to that. That's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.